congratulations on new music. How does it feel? How does it feel making new music?
Ooh, it feels great because I'm finally in a position where we are not only resurfacing songs that I've been sitting on, that I've made many versions to with many different producers, and finally I'm like, no, I found, the person to do this with, quite for this time. So it's all divine timing. But to be also making some songs on this album, which is called The Sound of My Love, which is being created in real time. So I've never actually been in the position to go, we're making it now and we're going to put it out in a few months, versus making something and then you're sitting on it, trying to find the resources to even get to production, let alone marketing dollars to put it out. So it's very, very cathartic to create something that's healing for myself and then offer it as a gift to the world in real time. You're going to feel closer to my spirit in a way.
Right, right. Okay, so there's so much to talk about here. Um, Tell me about all the things that have come together. Now we're gonna get to the song proper, and we're gonna talk about the album. But I just want to pick up on what you said just now. What has come together to make this an easier release or a release in real time?
So, patience, waiting. Well, it's The Sound of My Love, which is the title track, for example, I wrote in 2015. So that's 10 years. And I always got really great feedback on this song. So I was kind of holding on and waiting. And um, I didn't think I wrote something as strong as that to put out. So I kind of held on to it and put out other types of music, lots of singles. So patience is definitely one thing. Um, in that patience, you get resources, you grow, you mature in understanding why you're even creating art. What are you communicating? Where's your ego? Why are you really doing this? And so all of that and creating a team. I've been doing this, as you know, so alone for so long. And then I built a team about 10, 15 years ago with my best friend. We added parts and then adding more industry parts to really create sustainability. And I met with a lot of people that are my friends, who are very successful and have been doing this for a very long time. And I took meetings, several meetings, sometimes with all of them, and said, how do we create a sustainable model for independent artists to put out music like there's a label behind them? How are we actually going to make a living? How do you do it, record label owner friend? How do you do it, rapper friend? How have you been touring for 30 years, my friend? Let's all have a conversation. Does the model work for us artists to keep eating? Because I want to take all my friends on the come up with me. I want to feed and create economy for my friends who have supported me and say my purpose and your purpose. How do we find that? Um, what do you do? What does winning look like for you? Okay, creating great design. Okay, creating great films. Let's make music video films together. Okay, what a strategy? Can we work together? So then you need to feel like you are in your gift while I'm being in my gift. And I ask everyone on my team, what is the sound of your love? If we're putting out the first song called Good Love, what does good love look like to you? I don't have all the answers. It's a conversation. The reason I didn't put it out for so long because I said to myself, who am I to speak about love? Like that's a pretty big topic. So, but it's the sound of my love, my journey, as much as I know, and I invite people into this conversation, including people like yourself. What does good love mean to you? How do you show good love to yourself first? How do you show good love to your creator, to your family, to the people around you, right? So I don't need to have all the answers. I have my answers, and I'm willing to be open to other people telling me, hey, here's a little bit something I know about life. Let's have a conversation. So I invite anyone listening to this podcast, let's have a conversation.
So that is so That's so encouraging. So the part about sustainability, I'm going to say for the end because I want to get back there. It's the same question as a creative or creator. I've been trying to ask for as long as I've done this, talking to independent artists. So I'm very fascinated that you have ideas around there or you're starting to make inroads in that space. But so I'm gonna save this. I made a note. I'm gonna save this at the end because I really want to listen to what you have to say. But we're here to talk about Good Love, which is coming off your upcoming album. So I read it's been described as about a soulful anthem about healing, identity, and peace and love. Again, you just talked about these are heavy themes. These are large themes. But tell me the story behind it. You've talked about patience. It was written a long time ago, but how did we get here? Tell me the story behind Good Love.
Okay, so Good Love I actually only wrote 2 years ago.
Right. Okay. My bad.
I say only because some people are like, what? You waited 2 years to put this out? September 2013. So coming up on the eve of writing this song. And um, I kind of experienced a love where the person was so understanding of my purpose. And they said to me, I want to be able to cross the road and shake the hand of the person you choose, even if it's not me. If it's the person that is better suited for you, I want to be able to never feel like I can't cross the road to shake that person's hand. And because I really want the best for you. And so the chorus, the part that gets you is the landing line, which is the last line, which is, I don't need to know what you can do for me. I don't need you to fill up all my needs. I hope you find joy in everything, even if it's not with me. So, to be honest, I'm still getting there to be able to feel that way and say, it's okay if it's not with me. That's still a journey I'm on. And so maybe that's why I kept kind of not putting it out because I felt like I wasn't really there. Where that person has done a little bit more work on themselves to feel like, okay, I can let Dahlia go, you know, um, as long as they're happy. It doesn't have to be in connection with me. And at the same time, I've been working with a Buddhist monk for the last 2.5 years. And obviously, the main philosophy of Buddhism, as most people know, is a lack of attachment.
Right.
So sometimes you think you've figured it out. And I remember calling her and saying, "Oh, I got it! I got the chorus of this song." And I said, and so I'm going to leak what it was originally, which was not what I just sang to you. I think it was something to. Oh, now I finally know what it means to hold on to a good thing instead of. Now I finally know we deserve a good love is what it is now. She goes, hold on. Hold and love are opposites. You don't hold love, you release. Love is about release, it's not about holding on. And I was like, oh. And it was the last 2 minutes of our session. So when we got off, I'm like, I know what it is. We deserve a good love. Love so beautiful, it's always enough. And I was like, that's what it is. We deserve a good love. It's about deserving, and it's not about what this person can do for me. It's about letting them go. So that's how that came to be. And I know the second I wrote that song, that it was the sister song to The Sound of My Love, which is the one I wrote 10 years ago. And I knew that the piano was at the center of all of it. So even though I didn't know who my producer was going to be, my best friend encouraged me, Carol, who's also the creative director of my brand. She said, just put one foot in front of the other. Just keep doing something towards the record. So um, I always say God taught me to play the piano when I was 19. I used to say I taught myself the piano, but there's no reason I should be able to play what I play without being taught. So one of the things that people always said is after a show is like, the couple of songs you played on the piano, that those are the ones that hit me every time. It's consistent. So I said, okay, let's keep the piano, but let's get like the best pianist I know that I love, who understands pop and R&B and world music. So I reached out to Michael Shand, who, as you know, is a very accomplished pianist, and I've done shows with him before for my previous record, and I just knew I wanted him to be at the center of this piano. And we went to Tattoo. We attracted still no producer. I want people to listen to this. Don't stall, because I was still able to make a really good demo that I could present to the producer to see the core of the vision. And then if we want to build more around this, we can. We can. I always heard strings on these records. So we got Drew Jareka, who's this incredibly talented, acclaimed string arranger, to play a five-part string piece. And Drew's been Grammy nominated. He's incredible. He's so humble. Uh, with all of the success that he's had in terms of working with Dua Lipa. And I said, yes, I'd like to work with him, because Tom Mackay, who's my incredible producer, said, I see the vision. I know what you want. Thank you for allowing me to do my job as a producer to create around your centerpiece. So one thing I will leak and tell you, that when we were tracking these first few songs on the piano, uh, at Tattoo, I asked the engineer, I said, hey, so, we have the second booth. It's a beautiful studio. Can you hook me up to the mic? He's like, oh, you're tracking vocals today? I said, you never know. This might be the final vocals. Maybe it won't. But what I need most importantly is for Michael, while he's playing the piano, the grand piano that's set up in the other room, to hear my spirit of when I sing this, because that's going to influence the way he plays. He's going to hear it. So even if I sing a wrong note, it doesn't matter. So we hooked my voice up to Michael's headphones so he could hear. We could feel each other. And there's this beautiful window panel that connects both those rooms. So I could watch him and he could see me. And there was that sacred moment of, we know why we're doing this. He is he has a beautiful story, Michael himself, with his wife, which I've always admired. And I said, Michael, please, I need you to access the sound of your love as you do this. I've always admired your partnership with your life mate, your
Right,
soulmate.
right,
And
right.
he's like, she's always with me, Dahlia. She's there in every note of music whenever I play. So I said, let's do this. So we were able to track Good Love Piano and Sound of My Love. And it was months later, that I was able to put the team together for the production. I was able to talk to some investors. You can talk to stakeholders. You can talk to so many people, just because I took my friend's advice to go, let's just move something. Don't wait for things to be perfect in a perfect holding position. It's not. It doesn't exist, right? You have to take that risk. I'm glad I did.
Oh my.
Mm.
I'm gonna enjoy this conversation. Okay, so let's talk about Sound of My Love. It promises a deeply personal journey. What kind of themes are we exploring there? I know I kind of get a sense from Good Love, but the entirety of the album, what kind of themes are we exploring throughout?
So, Ancestry, something I've never truly explored before. We have a song called On Fire. That's our third single, for example. And my grandmother appeared to me um, in a room in the middle of the
Right,
night.
right.
Okay,
Okay,
4:30 in the morning, and she writes the bridge for me. For example, I've never met this grandmother. I'm trying to be clever with the lyrics, and she says, "This is a message for my son, who is my father." And I was trying to be clever and like rework some of her words, and she goes, "No, write this word for word. Tell my story." And that bridge, she says, "Do you ever think I'd leave you? Did you ever think I'd leave you? You can come to me and cry. Even at the end of my life, it was never goodbye. I'm standing right beside you, deep in the ocean rise. You are not alone. You can see the world through my eyes.
Wow.
So, this is like when you start to go through certain levels of accessing God and art at the same time
Right.
and understanding your purpose, these things happen, obviously, and it's just have to really listen to what something is bigger than me that's happening. Something bigger than me is at play. I'm just a vessel and a conduit, right? So so it's ancestry. Also reclaiming my name. So last time you and I met during the pandemic, we would have promoted everything under just Dahlia,
Yeah.
and now we're going back to my older records were marketed as Dahlia Fernandes, which is my real name, which is my dad's last name. So we have rebranded, which means consolidating, which means starting from the bottom, rebuilding the temple on
Right.
strong foundation, on my ancestral roots. And so I'm glad we're talking about this because a fun fact, the best fun fact I forgot
Okay.
to tell you about
All
Good
right.
Love that you would have heard on the songs that I sent you was
Yeah.
the bridge is in my regional language, which is Konkani,
Aha.
we're from a Portuguese colonized part of India called Goa, hence my last name Fernandez. And so I never got to think, I never talked about this because, to be quite honest, I was anglicizing my music. I'm double colonized, British and Portuguese. So it's like, oh, I need somewhere all these years, I know that I was like, I need to appeal to like probably the middle aged white man, in order to like make it in this music industry. Somewhere in
Right.
there, I can admit it was happening. And so now with these Konkani lyrics are so rare in an English song, first of all. So it's
Right.
pretty pioneering. Secondly, it's not when you go on Spotify to like actually put in the metadata for your song, it's not even a language that is listed
That you can select.
that you can select. Okay, so we're really bringing this ancestry to the world. People are going to say, what is this? Then we're going to have to say how many hundreds and hundreds of years the Portuguese were there in India, longer than the British. So why do we know the British story? Why do we know that they left in 1947 is when we got our independence? Why don't we know the other parts? Why haven't I been able to tell this story? What has held me back? All of these things are going to come out now. And this is you are the first podcast that I'm doing in order to put this out. You were so gracious during the pandemic to create a platform that, in a world where our voices were silenced during the pandemic, you created something so beautiful that we still existed globally. That's no small feat. And it was felt at that time. I was living in Trinidad for 4 years, and I existed. My art existed. I was still able to touch people's lives, and it's because of people like you. This is the first podcast I'm doing in my press rollout for a reason, so we can have conversations like this.
Oh my. Thank you. Thank you for all the kind things you just said. So I'm curious. It feels like there's a lot of growth has happened in your life to get you to this place where you are, just like you said, you're accessing certain realms, and you're turning inward. You're going back to ancestry. I wonder if you could just talk a little bit more about that growth and what you have done to get yourself from where you used to be to this point.
That's a very good question. Thank you for asking that, because I have to count my growth. I have to acknowledge something has passed, first of all, to even answer your question. And I was working with different spiritual leaders. Every few years, I learned something new, a new type of philosophy, a new type of teaching. And so I was working with different people over the last 15 years. And so mainly decade, I would say. Yeah, let's say about the last decade I've been working with different people. However, during the pandemic I felt very ill, and I was given a ticker, and I had to figure out what was important and how I was going to survive, how I was going to live. And I actually put out a poetry book last month called I Want to Live, based on that, that I would love to share and give you a copy of, actually, and send that over to you. But it's about understanding, why are we doing this? As I said before, because everything becomes obvious. Which grudges are you holding on to? When someone gives you your ticker, well, everything comes into play. Why did I eat this? Why did I hold on to this? How does disease work? How does disease form? It doesn't form in it forms over milliseconds of time and years. Um, what is a follower? What is a like? I was just talking to my best friend the other day, and I said, Instagram has followers. I'm a leader. For followers, there has to be a leader. They say profile name, they don't say leader name. So I'm a leader. So these people are gonna follow me into what? Into divinity. I have something so big on my shoulders. I have to take this with so much grace and compassion for myself in order to lead. And I had this beautiful conversation this morning with my producer. And I said, it's 4 days left for the release of Good Love. Can you please help me set my spirit straight? Because I do believe that I'm a bit nervous about putting out the song. And I'm sure it's wrapped up a little bit in ego, right? What's going to happen on Friday? And you know what he said? He said, it's a day at the office that's a little bit more special, where you get roses. You get a bouquet of flowers on that day. But if this idea of it's going to be a big high and a big low and big highs and big lows it's not the answer, right? And I said, yeah, all of this stress just left me, because I know if I'm doing it for how many people will reshare on that day, how many people are going to do this. He said it's just, all of those fireworks, that's what we say for the live performance. That does feel like fireworks on that day. But releasing a song, things outside of that, it's all it is a sacred prayer. It's just a prayer that day. Here, release. This is for you. Oh, that just came to me. This is for you. It's not for me. So what am I looking for? When we give a gift, are we looking for the thank you? Are we looking for the look on someone's face? Then it's ego. When you give the gift and you leave, isn't that what I'm doing on Friday? Not easy. I'm saying this to you, but I have to do some real meditation over the next 5 days to really set that straight.
It's the growth. It's the growth in process. Wow, fantastic. So I was gonna go into your collection of poetry just before you brought it up, but I'm curious how that interacts with your music. Why was there a need to? Okay, what is it that is being said in music that wouldn't fit in poetry, and vice versa? How do you determine which mode to release different ideas?
Thank you. Thank you for that question, because I need this for myself to answer
Right,
this. I have been writing poetry since I was 7 years old.
right.
And some of my best work probably happened between 8 and 14, to be honest.
Uh huh.
And I realized quickly that the music was an extension of the poetry. So I would write pieces, and I was like, oh, very instinctively, I'm like, oh, this is a song. This is a piece without music. Just as I would write a piece of music and put no lyrics, I've written a few pieces I've never published that I don't think needs lyrics. They're just pieces. But when I was going through all of this spiritual growth, and I have quite a few very heavy moments of life were happening over the last few years, I writing the poetry was healing me. And I just wrote and I wrote and I wrote. And actually, it did something where I was taking photographs, and then I started like writing on the photograph. So I would take a picture of a rose, and then the rose was giving me, there's a piece in my book called Words of a Flower. And it's the story about how this rose tells me their story, and I'm talking to it. And they said, storms will come and go, but at the end of the day, my roots hold strong. I know, I've seen many clouds come and go, but I know my roots still hold strong. And it was a rose that was so beautiful. It said, actually included some photographs at the end of the book. It was a rainstorm had just passed, and so you can see the tears in the petals, but you can see the strength of this flower as it's slightly beaten around. And so I was like, this isn't a song. This is just a piece of poetry that needs to exist. So a lot of them were written right onto these photographs as they were coming to me, and I was publishing them on Instagram on stories so that it's only exists for 24 hours.
Right.
And then I started getting messages from my followers. Hey, can you make this in a larger font so I can read all of it? I said, oh, okay. Oh, I came back to read the piece you posted yesterday, but it's disappeared because it's a story. Will you be putting this up on your feed? Is it possible to get the piece so I can like save it on my phone? I was like, oh, this was just for myself to heal. And I didn't think I was going to publish this.
Right.
And so that's how that came to be. At that level of and speed of writing, 1 to 2 pieces a day, um they weren't meant to be songs. You just listen to your gut. Your gut tells you. You don't have to overthink.
Right.
This is a poem, this is a song. And
Right.
sometimes I have gone into poetry and I read it to my producer, and I said, what do you think of this? Yep, hold on to that. That's a lyric. Let's bring that one into song 3. Let's bring this one into song 4.
Right.
It happens. It happens. You can go back and check in, but your gut tells you.
Gotcha, gotcha. I wanna go back just a little bit. I'm a huge fan of origin stories. I just want to find how impactful all of the places that you've lived in, how they show up in your music, and how they've shaped you. So, I understand Mumbai, Dubai, Toronto, of course, and just now you told me about Trinidad. So, tell me how all of these places are, what they've left in you, and how they shape the music you now create.
Thank you so much. I don't think anyone's ever asked me that question in an interview. An Uber driver recently asked me that, so I do have somewhat of an informed opinion. I had to think about it, and it was
Okay.
very refreshing. Something very close to what you're asking me. So, one of my mentors, Miko Barnes, once said, "I'm a world citizen,"
Right.
and so a global citizen, right? And what's beautiful about that is that when you've been colonized and marginalized from so many different cultures, when that happens, you kind of have to make your own culture. You have to
Hmm.
just create some sense of the world for yourself. It is a very difficult road. I want to get clarity on this question. Us having this conversation is going to give me clarity, of course, but then I need to create clarity for other people. The only
Right.
way is to live, fall, pick up, possibly fall again, pick up,
Right.
and then we figure it out together. Because
Right.
you grew up in India, and I've heard so many people say to me growing up, "You're not really Indian." It's like, oh, I just remember the first time someone said that to me as a kid, and I'm like, well, but I'm so proud to be
Huh.
Indian. I'm so proud to
Huh.
be Indian. Okay, then what am I? Then people sometimes we use our colonization to further ourselves in life. Oh, I'll get more privilege because of my complexion.
Right.
So shadism that happens in India and other places. Then oh, last name's Fernandez. Then I'm being like there's an exotification that's happening. Then I'll get some privilege out of that. So it's so confusing, right? As a child, as a teenager, people people's attraction to me in intimate relationships. There's so much to be like said about the identity piece before you even sing one note of music.
Right. Right.
So, um, but that's all me. Growing up in Dubai, you have a particular culture. Being Indian in Dubai, you have another culture. You come to Canada, and well, let me just say in Dubai, still you're not. I'm not Arab, so I'm not local. So
Right.
I'm not from. I'm not belonging. Come to Canada, you'll hear so many people. They say, "Oh, the Canadian guy is coming over." I'm like, "Aren't we all Canadian? What's going on? Who is this Canadian person that's coming over?" I'm like, "Okay, so I'm not Canadian, but I am okay." I went to Trinidad, and that was about the time that we had connected.
Right.
And they're like, "We know you, you're one of us. You're that Indian, And people know the culture better than me, right? Because we grew up in a Roman Catholic faith and listening to a lot of Western music and influence. This affects part of some people's culture who come from Goa. So now I'm like, okay, so I kind of belong. But in Dubai, we had access to British television. So if anyone was from England, I'm connecting with them.
Right.
It's a very strange sort of how I connect with people as I travel. Then we lived in the UK for a little bit, lived in LA for a little bit, and what can I say? It's a sensibility that you get of the world,
Right.
and this is the first time I'm saying this out loud, but I think you kind of get like pieced off from each culture,
Right.
and all those pieces make a whole with the WHOLE, and
Right. Right. Right.
it's not a whole anymore. It's not a HOLE anymore.
Uh-huh.
You and people can start to relate to you because you've actually seen and felt so many different ancient civilizations
Right.
in the world, and you
Right.
now have an access traveling that they don't know what it is, but they know a little part of them is in you and a part of
Right.
you is in them, and we
Right.
all come together and somehow we make a world of our own.
Right. Right. Beautiful. Very well said. Read also about your father and his influence, his eclectic collection. Talk to me about what that has done for you as an artist, or what it did for you, and how that comes to bear as well in your music.
Thank you so much. You see the shape of my face and my posture, my soul's posture, as my best friend always says, has changed because talking about my father just gives me so much joy. um I just owe so much to that relationship,
Right.
um, with my father, and for what he loves. Because you know what I've never thought about till this moment. It's not about who we have access to. It's how we decide that they will influence our lives. Because so
Right.
many people like I hate that. You know why? Because my parents always played that music, and I didn't take to it. You know why I don't like that? Because we always had a mango tree in our backyard. I've heard people say, so I hate mangoes. And I'm like, what? I love mangoes because we never had a mango tree. And I would love to have a mango tree,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So what did we decide was going to be the thing we honor of our ancestors, of our parents? That's a choice.
Right.
So music and my father is the same thing. It's a
Huh.
same thing to me. And so we it's not just the music he played, it's how we experienced the music together. It's sort of this wild, obsessive way of listening. So every Thursday night, because in Dubai, the holiday is a Friday. Friday is the
Okay.
holiday, and so Thursday, and now some of the rules have changed, I know, but Friday you get 1 day weekend, which was a Friday. Okay,
Okay.
you go to work on Saturday and Sunday. So Thursday evening, we would go down to the record store, and it would be set up with all the new music that has come out, and they have headphones for listening, even back in the you know early 90s. And my dad and I were going like, oh my god, we're gonna come home with at least one or two records. Which one is it gonna be? And this is listening to my dad speak to the owner about different types of music and the history. My dad will tell you like what was happening in the world when a record came out. Oh, Ghana got
Right.
independence the same time that this record came out. Like how world events is connected to when he remembers that
Right.
record coming out. So he has all these fun facts. We're gonna go home and it's gonna be ours. And then the peeling of like a record and the smell of it and how much it meant to him. And then once we figured out which, because you can't deeply listen to a whole thing in the store. You're gonna
Right.
go home and then do the deep listen, and
Right.
then looking at each other and going, what's the one that we're gonna mark? Because my dad was a DJ in Dubai, has like on the side, that was his side gig to being
Right.
a graphic designer. So we would mark which ones would make the DJ cut, the ones that he would play at a show. So he would mark the back of it with a little dot. I think he had two different colors. He still has them. The colors are there, so we know track one,
Right.
track two. What's
Right.
gold, what's silver, kind of thing. So that whole experience of doing that, and then we'd find the song and we would play it over, and he'd look at me like, one more time, like, yep, one more time, yeah. Hours have passed, and we're listening to the same song for that same part, which I call the gift of the song. When I write for myself or other people, there's several gifts in one song. But what is the gift of that song? Oh, when he just does that one note differently,
Uh-huh.
or when that violin did that thing that it never does. So you have to play the whole song again to hear that particular thing it did on that time, or a vocal trill. So it's like I'm listening to all these different types of music. I didn't know they were different. It's like being a 4-year-old child and your mother making you four different dishes or four different cuisines that happen to all taste good together. Do you
Right.
see it as four different cuisines? At, at that age, no. You see it as food.
Right. It was just music.
It's just music. It was dad's playing music,
Right.
and my dad's moniker is Tone Ferns, which is Tony Fernandez put together. Tone Ferns Rhapsody. That was
Right.
his DJ moniker. So it's Tone Friends Rhapsody. That's what we're listening to. You can still go on Spotify. He's made playlists for our family to carry on. So his nephews and nieces, we all still listen to that, even though he's approaching 80 and
Wow.
isn't as able to do these things anymore.
Wow.
That's thank you for that question. I'm like, my whole body is feeling so happy right now. I'm just like, so this is what it is. This is what it is.
Thank you for such a generous answer. Thank you so much. Yeah, I noticed. It's so great to family is so great, and when you're able to speak fondly of a family, it's even better. Um, so I keep on reading about just how much your music has gone uh, to different parts of the world. So it's been featured on on global stages, and you've worked with such great producers, Rich Kid, and all of that. This is a two-part question here. Even as an independent artist, you've made so much stride. I want you to talk to me about where you saw yourself starting out and where you've arrived at now, and just being able to collaborate with all those people and being able to be featured on Netflix and NBC, been able to accomplish all of this stuff, even with the restraint of resources, it's pretty incredible. So, talk to me about that if you don't mind. Maybe just celebrate it a little bit because it's pretty remarkable stuff.
Thank you for saying that. I never quite framed it like that for myself because, sometimes we use the metrics that other people want to use to call it success. So I
Right,
appreciate you and your kind words. Um, I think the second Rolling Stone India wrote gave me two features within a few months of each other.
right,
Things start to set in a little bit, or the first time you get a sync placement on something and then it ends up on Netflix. Well, actually, that movie aired on NBC and Disney, and then it made its way to Netflix, where it still is. When these things happen, I remember my not. I remember it being cool, but I didn't know how big it was even at that time.
right,
And I remember my sister taking me to a lovely restaurant called Azaria's in Etobicoke to celebrate it. And I was like, "You're gonna take me to dinner because I got my first placement?" She goes, "Yeah." And the producer who I worked with at the time, Roy Hamilton the third, bought me a beautiful, I still have it, a Swarovski star necklace. And I'm
right.
like, "What? What's happening?" Right. This is something. And now you're saying, look back. My friends have a company, a lifestyle company called the Nook. And one of the t-shirts says, I wear it at home all the time. I love it. It's really a really beautiful shirt. And it says, remember to look back at how far you've come. And I think that's what we're doing in this moment. It's like, so look back on what's accomplished, Dahlia. Um, you're putting me in a position where I have to like really give myself my flowers, and I appreciate you saying that. Um, the producer recently said, all we are doing is living a life of daily excellence. That's all it is. Today
Right.
it's Netflix. Tomorrow, when you get to play Wembley, when you get to play Glastonbury, when you get to play Coachella, what's the day after that? What happens the day after that? The day between the moment between Coachella and not having Coachella is a microsecond.
Yeah.
It's a
True.
millisecond, and you don't have it that second, and then you open your email and you have it, or you get a call and you have it, right?
Right.
But what's the day after that? It's the day you don't have it. It's
Right.
gone. The moment is gone, and now you're working to the next moment. So, um, I don't know. I'm learning with my current team is to put your, yes, honor and understand that you are moving the needle and why you are doing it, but don't move the needle and forget, why are you doing this?
Right.
What are these flowers that we're giving ourselves? Or what is it to be like? Is it a little bit of this, or is it this? Is it thank you?
Right.
And it all came to me very clearly a few months ago in a journal entry, a prayer I was writing to God. It said, God, I actually do need to become famous. I know I said, it's okay if I don't become famous, but I think I need the
Right.
fame because I
Right.
will think I now see that the connection between fame and money. And God, I
Uh-huh.
need a lot of money because
Right.
I want to wipe the tears of as many people as I possibly can. And I'm starting to see that money does that. Money gets you water in wells.
Mm.
Money makes you build wells. Money gets me to go on a plane and talk to some children and give them hope in some part of the world. Like, I need money, God. I need the money. I actually do need to become famous. So it became very clear to me why I needed to do that.
Right.
And every time it's about my ego to just be like, let's keep this right over here. Because now I'm losing it. Now I'm going
Right.
to lose my sense of humility. Now I may forget where this train was headed to begin with. I might just reroute the tracks and go,
Right.
which we've
Right.
seen a lot of people do. So, how many ever people I have access to for the next, um, 45, 50 years? I just want to be very clear with who I am and why I'm doing this because it's a lot of responsibility. It is a lot of
Gotcha.
responsibility to be an artist. I often say the emotional stability of the planet is in our hands.
Wow, that's huge.
It's a big responsibility.
That's a huge responsibility. Okay. So maybe let's just talk about going forward. What you're hoping? What you're hoping? Sound of My Love does. I know the single is dropping this Friday, but Sound of My Love is gonna when's that gonna the album
That one's
itself? And
gonna be so the second single, which is the title track "Sound of My Love," is planned for August,
yeah.
and then we have the third one, which is this really big song called "On Fire." It's got so many instruments on it. We have oud, baglama, we have percussion. There's me playing on a glass, just going making a percussive sound on a glass. We have
Right.
bass. We have my Bengali friend Nishat that's doing these Indian classical scales. We have so much beauty on that one. So that one's
Right.
going to be a big one. And
Okay.
then in the new year in 2026, we will release the fuller album.
Right. Okay.
So yes,
Okay. So much good stuff to look forward to. I can't
yes,
wait. I can't wait to. I can't wait for Friday. But thank you so much for making good music, for putting your heart and soul into what you do. And all of that growth that has occurred so far. Thank you for allowing them show up in your music. Oftentimes, people grow and it doesn't quite reflect, or you can't quite see the growth that's happening. And I think people want to hide it or something like that, but for being vulnerable enough to put it in your music, I want to say thank you for making good music, Dahlia.
wow, thank you. That is the best compliment I've ever received in terms of my musical career. I really appreciate that. I think the sound of my love, to really answer your question, um, the reason I don't think it was ready to be put out is because I didn't understand the message that I was given. So all of these lyrics, I believe, come directly from my creator and a very divine source. And they were future messages. They're messages from my future self. That's what all the songs are. And I've been through this so many times in my life where I'm in a moment, I'm like, oh, those lyrics I wrote make total sense right now. It might even be published, and I'm in this moment of crisis and I'm singing this and I'm like, oh, I remember during the pandemic, for example, I wrote a song called Looking Back, and I'm going through this moment when I was really ill, as I was saying, and the doctors had to put refrigerated water over me after I came off heat. So it's like a thermal heat cooling method. And so to cool your body, they put refrigerated water, but they teach you to breathe for many days before that process. And I had written a song many years prior to that moment. And the bridge goes, you have to learn how to breathe, right? While the water is being poured so you don't panic. So there's a bridge in my song called Looking Back that says, um, I can be strong, I can hold on, I can breathe when I am underwater, right? So that was for my future self. And so the sound of my love is actually the sound of God's love. It was never about me. I only just realized that about 7, 8 months ago. And I wrote it about unrequited love, about someone who didn't feel the same way about me. But when I hear it now, it has so much more purpose and weight because I'm saying it opens with, I was standing at the door, I was waiting, I've been here so many times before. This is God saying, did you see me? Didn't you feel me? Did you hear the sound of my love? It was never about me. It was never about the other person. God's been standing at the door waiting for me. Did you hear me? Did you feel me? I was there all along. And when you look back on all your moments of crisis, if you've made it here today and you are listening to this, it's because you have accomplished not being broken. You've accomplished fighting day after day. And I believe, and I hope a lot of more people in this world can believe, that it was never just you alone. Not everything we accomplish is far by or with just ourselves. It is with community, it was with God, it's with our family, it's with our sense of self that comes from something bigger than ourselves. So we've made it, and there was someone there standing all along. And that is not the sound of my love. It is, when I say my, it is the sound of his love. So that's I'm so glad you asked me that question, because that really is more encompassing of what is about to be released into the world over the next few months. I have no regrets. This is the best record of my life. If these are the only records people ever get to hear of me, I will be happy, because there's nothing. There's nothing. Even if we've kept notes in there that are sometimes slightly off pitch, it's real. It's a real
Right. Raw.
performance.
Yeah.
It's just raw. And it's really about the message more than being, oh, I'm this perfect performer and I sing all of these things. There's times when my producer said, don't sing that high note. I was like, but I can. No, it's not about chops, but it's about feeling.
Right.
What is the message of the song? What is the gift of the song? Don't try to outperform God's message.
Right.
It's just communicating.
Right.
Just say I love you to someone. It's not about saying it with all of the possible things I can do with my vocal capabilities. It's tough. On
Right.
Fire, I had to just hold back. I'm like, I want to go sing it higher. No, nope. Communicate right here and just let go of that ego. It's your ego that wants to, you know, do and
Yeah. The
flex.
one that do the runs. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a flex. It's not a flex. This is something sacred. You don't try to flex when you go to church. You just go and you
Right.
give yourself up. So, this has been such a great conversation. I feel so much better. I'm able to, understand the why better when we have great conversations and great hosts like you that understand why are we here? What
Yeah.
are we doing? And what is our impact? And so, thank you. Thank you. We go into our artistic life with hosts like yourself, asking us questions that can influence the art. The
Mm.
things you have asked me that I get access to now, I go to put it into a piece of poetry or music, or people I speak to say, you know what, this person asked me this, and I think I've discovered something today. So, thank you for asking me, you know, questions and framing them in ways that I can like make sense of it all myself.
Wow.
That's a gift. That's a gift, and I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Dahlia. This has been fantastic. Congratulations again on new music. Looking forward to Friday. I'm wishing you so much love, all of the best. And of course, we're going to keep talking, but thank you so much for your time today. You've been gracious, you've been generous with your answers, and I can't wait to share this with the rest of the world. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening.